Hey, it's Trevor Talking Tech here, and I've just been playing around with something here on the Behringer System 55. Now I was looking for a way to clock the 960 sequencer module, and I've been looking around on YouTube, and I found one video that said basically you don't have a clock. There's a way to do it by connecting throwing MIDI notes into it, and that's absolutely true. But I think I've just gone one further a little bit with this, because I wanted the 960 to clock effectively with and hold the tempo with the Digitact over here. And so, what have we got? Well, prior to this, I was just running it on the internal oscillator, and I can do that now. It's not triggering because I've taken the oscillator trigger out, but trust me, it was. Let me see what I can do about that oscillator output. But let me just what can I do about that? Let me just take this out of here and plug it in here, and hopefully you should be able to hear that. So I'm just going to disconnect that back to the trigger over here, and everything should be dandy. Okay, so it doesn't really matter what's going on over here. I've got a couple of oscillators. I'm using an envelope to change the filter. I'm using a high and low pass filter and stuff like that. And I've got a couple of oscillators mixed in. We've got the sequential switch working here because I've got 16 steps working here on the oscillator. So those are my CV outputs to the two SIG inputs on the sequential switch. There's my shift, which is actually moving around. That's connected to the first step, so it always goes over to the next range every time. And there's my two signal outputs, like I said. So that's all good. Now over here, I've got the MIDI in. The MIDI in is coming from the Arturia Minifreak, which is behind me just now. The through, by the way, is going over there to the MS-20, which is off right now. I wasn't really bringing that in just now, but I guess I could. Anyway, so that's the setup. And down here, I'm using just get that to focus. I'm using the trig output into shift to actually get the oscillator to move, and I'm using a separate trig output over here to a multiple, and that's going to trigger all of the envelope generators that I'm using, all three of those, and also there's some separate multiple there using with control inputs to the filters as well. Anyway, so that's the setup. So I thought, well, if I want that to run at 120 beats per minute, which is what I want, where am I going to get that from? And it turns out there's a way. And so thanks to the channel. I'm really sorry I just saw it in passing, couldn't say who it was, but thank you. If this sounds like something of yours, thank you for the initial idea. But what I've then done is I've hooked the triggering up to the sequencer here. Now I've just got one of the standard sequences on the Minifreak here. This is a preset sequence, and let's just have a listen to the sequence minus the MIDI in the System 55 right now. So this is the sequence that I'm playing. Let's put the hold on. Not sure why showing you the speaker makes you hear it better. Okay, so that's the Nightcrawler sequence, which is preset 315 on the Minifreak, and it's kind of funky. I like it. Okay, so let's stop that. Let's turn the hold off, and then let's go over to here and bring the MIDI input back in. This MIDI input is not coming from my main keyboard, it's coming from the Minifreak spare MIDI cable. There we go, a nice little 6 meter long MIDI cable going to the other side. So that's going to clock whenever I use the sequencer. Now, so here we go. Sequencer is set. Let's set the sequencer on, set it to run, hold, and for the moment I'm just going to turn the actual sequence down and just play the D. And I'm not hearing anything run. Typical when you're trying to show this to someone, isn't it? Okay. Be right back. I'm sorry, where were we? Right, okay. So everything is as it was. I just needed to reset a few things. You can probably still hear a little bit of flanging going on. One of the oscillators is still sounding off a bit. Why is it doing that? Come on, guys. That's better. That's better. Okay. So now I can't hear it at all out of there. Okay, that's driven by the oscillator, but let's go over here and play the Nightcrawler sequence. Now all you're hearing right now is this synth, which I just turned on for a laugh. Right, there we go. So that is being clocked. That is being clocked right there by the sequence coming from over here. And I can adjust the tempo. I want the tempo down to 120 because that's what I've been using. There we are. Okay, now let's bring in the Nightcrawler sequence. I might have to take a little bit of the top off of that. If I can. Maybe not. Okay. Anyway, there we go. Let's bring the Digitact in. I've got a bit of stuff, rhythm set up on here already. Got it set up for 120. And let's just see how it goes. Forgotten. I've actually cleared the sequence. Let's try adding some stuff. There you have it. Well, it's rough and ready to say the least, but it was an experiment. And hey, it kind of worked. So if that's any use at all to anyone out there thinking of trying to clock the 960 module, then that's something to think about. It is possible to clock it from a sequencer. You can use the trigger output straight into the shift input, and hey, what, it works. It seems to be going off on its own at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, it can be a bit flaky like that. I've noticed. But there it is. Just realised I'm talking. Yeah, so I've just everything is stopped except that the sequencer is still running. Oh, of course, I've just realised why that is. I've turned the volume down on the Minifreak, but I didn't actually turn the sequence off, so it was still going. Anyway, there you go. Everything is back as it was. Like I say, I hope that helps. So enjoy. Happy sequencing.